There's a version of you that exists only in your mind, a future version where you has it all together, the one who's finally successful, finally loved, finally at peace. And you've been chasing that version for so long that you forgot something crucial, that you can't catch a ghost. This is Mind in Exile, and today I'm going to talk about something that might make you uncomfortable. I'm going to talk about why everything you've been taught about getting what you want is backwards. And we're going to learn it from a man who lived 800 years ago but understood your struggle better than most people you know today. His name was Jalal ad-Din Muhammad Rumi. And before you roll your eyes thinking this is another feel-good spiritual video with some cherry-picked quotes over sunset footage, let me tell you something. Rumi wasn't a greeting card philosopher. He was a man who had everything, lost everything, and discovered that the thing he'd been searching for his entire life was never lost in the first place. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's start with you. Right now, in this moment, you're probably doing three things at once. Maybe you're watching this video while scrolling through comments. Maybe you have another tab open. Maybe part of your mind is already planning what you'll do after this, what you'll eat later, what you need to accomplish tomorrow. Your body is here, but you're scattered across a dozen different moments, none of them this one. And here's the thing. You think this is normal. You think everyone lives like this. And you're right, they do. But normal doesn't mean natural. We've normalized a way of living that goes against everything our souls actually need. When was the last time you did absolutely nothing? And I don't mean scrolling through your phone or watching Netflix. I mean nothing. Just sitting, just being, just breathing without trying to get somewhere or become someone or fix something. Most of you can't remember. And the ones who can, the memory probably makes you uncomfortable. Because in those rare moments of stillness, something happens. All the noise in your head gets louder. All the things you've been running from suddenly have nowhere to hide. This is where Rumi comes in. In the 13th century, in what is now Afghanistan and Turkey, there lived a respected Islamic scholar and teacher named Jalal ad-Din. He had students, status, a comfortable life. He knew the religious texts inside and out. He could debate theology with the best of them. By all external measures, he had made it. But something was missing. He could feel it. This hollowness beneath all the achievement. This sense that he was living on the surface of life, never quite touching its depths. And then he met a wandering dervish named Shams Tabrizi. A nobody by society's standards, a spiritual vagrant who owned nothing and cared even less about reputation or respectability. And in one encounter, Shams shattered everything Rumi thought he knew about life, about God, about himself. The details of their first meeting vary depending on who's telling the story, but the essence is always the same. Shams looked at this accomplished scholar and asked him a question that cracked him open. What is the purpose of all your learning if it doesn't transform you? Think about that for a second. What is the purpose of everything you're doing if it's not actually changing who you are? All the content you consume, all the goals you chase, all the advice you collect, is any of it transforming you, or are you just accumulating information, building a bigger prison of should-bes and could-bes? Rumi spent the next several years with Shams, and in that time, he underwent a complete metamorphosis. The serious scholar became a poet. The rigid theologian became a mystic. The man who had all the answers discovered that the real journey begins when you stop pretending to know anything at all. This transformation gave birth to what we now call Sufism, or at least Rumi's expression of it. And Sufism has one central teaching that will either liberate you or terrify you, depending on how attached you are to your current way of living. That teaching is this: everything you think you are is an illusion. And the spiritual path is not about becoming something more. It's about removing the layers of false identity until what remains is what was always there. Your true self, pure, unconditioned, free. The Sufis have a word for this process. They call it fana. It means annihilation, the death of the ego, the dissolution of the false self that you've spent your entire life constructing and defending. Now, before you click away thinking this sounds too extreme or too religious, stay with me. Because what Rumi understood about the human condition applies whether you're Muslim, Christian, atheist, or anything else. It's not about religion. It's about reality. You have spent your entire life building an identity. This is who I am. This is what I believe. This is what I do. This is my personality. This is my style. These are my opinions. And you defend this identity like your life depends on it. Because in a way, it does. If you're not this collection of traits and beliefs and preferences, then who are you? That question terrifies most people, so they cling harder to their identity. They surround themselves with people who confirm it. They consume content that reinforces it. They avoid anything that might challenge it. But here's what Rumi discovered. That identity you're clinging to, it's a prison. It's a very comfortable prison, maybe, decorated with all your achievements and relationships and carefully curated aesthetic. But it's a prison nonetheless. And the bars of that prison are made of one thing: attachment. Attachment to outcomes. Attachment to how things should be. Attachment to your own ideas about who you are and what your life is supposed to look like. Rumi wrote something that sounds simple but contains everything. Let yourself be silently drawn by the strange pull of what you really love. It will not lead you astray. But you can't be drawn by anything when you're holding on so tight to everything else. Your hands are full, your calendar is packed, your mind is racing, and you wonder why you feel empty despite having so much. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most of what you call your life is just distraction. Sophisticated, socially acceptable distraction. But they are distractions nonetheless. You're not living, you're managing. Managing your image, managing your anxiety, managing other people's expectations of you. And you're exhausted. Of course you're exhausted. Do you know how much energy it takes to be someone you're not? Do you know how much energy it takes to maintain a version of yourself that you think the world needs you to be? Rumi understood this exhaustion. That's why he wrote, "The wound is the place where the light enters you." Your breaking point isn't your weakness, it's your opportunity. The moment when the false self can no longer hold itself together is the moment when something real can finally emerge. But we've been taught to avoid that breaking point at all costs, to fix ourselves before we crack, to stay positive, to keep it together, to never let them see you sweat. Sufism says the opposite. It says break, crack open. Let everything you think you are fall apart, because what you really are can't be broken. It's unbreakable precisely because it's not a thing. It's the awareness witnessing all the things. It's the space in which your thoughts, emotions, and experiences arise and pass away. Think about this. Right now, you're aware of reading these words. But who is aware? Not your thoughts, because you're aware of your thoughts. Not your emotions, because you're aware of your emotions. Not your body, because you're aware of your body. So who is doing the awareness? That's what the Sufis call the true self. That's what Rumi was pointing to when he wrote, "You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop." You think you're small. You think you're limited, separate, in need of completion. But that's just the story the ego tells. The ego needs problems to solve. It needs goals to achieve. It needs a future where things will finally be okay. Because if everything is already okay right now, the ego has no job. And the ego's job is its entire existence. So it keeps you running, chasing, seeking, searching for wholeness in all the wrong places. In relationships that will finally make you feel loved. In achievements that will finally make you feel worthy. In possessions that will finally make you feel secure. But Rumi had a student once who came to him desperate and said, "I have searched everywhere for peace and cannot find it." And Rumi replied, "That's because you are searching. Peace is what remains when you stop searching." Let that sink in. Peace is not something you find. It's what's left when you stop looking for it. When you stop trying to fix yourself, improve yourself, optimize yourself into someone worthy of peace. You already are peace. You've just covered it up with layers and layers of seeking. Now here's where this gets practical. Because you might be thinking, okay, this sounds nice philosophically, but I have bills to pay, responsibilities to handle, a life to live. I can't just sit around being aware of awareness. And you're right. Rumi didn't advocate for checking out of life. Quite the opposite. He got married, raised children, ran a religious school, wrote tens of thousands of verses of poetry. He was deeply engaged with life, but he was engaged from a different place. Not from the desperate seeking of the ego, but from the overflow of presence. He acted not because he needed to become someone, but because action arose naturally from being who he already was. There's a Sufi practice that illustrates this perfectly. It's called whirling, and you've probably seen it. The whirling dervishes, spinning in circles in their white robes. It looks beautiful, almost hypnotic, but it's not a performance. It's a meditation. One hand points to the sky, one to the earth. The dervish becomes a channel between heaven and earth. And by spinning, by surrendering to the motion, the individual self dissolves. What remains is just the movement itself, pure presence, pure flow. This is what Rumi meant by surrender. Not passive resignation, not giving up, but active dissolution of the barriers between you and life itself. When you surrender, you stop arguing with reality. You stop insisting that things should be different than they are. You stop trying to force outcomes through sheer willpower and anxiety. And paradoxically, when you stop trying to control everything, you become more effective. Because you're no longer wasting energy on resistance. You're moving with life instead of against it. Think about a river. It doesn't push the water. It doesn't strain and struggle. It simply allows the water to flow according to its nature. And yet the river shapes mountains. It carves canyons. It sustains entire ecosystems, all through surrender to its own nature. You are like that river. But you've spent so long trying to be something else. Trying to flow uphill. Trying to be steam when you're water. Trying to be ice when the temperature says flow. And it's killing you. Not dramatically, slowly, through stress and anxiety and the constant low-level sense that something is wrong, something is missing, something needs to be fixed. Rumi would say nothing is missing, nothing needs to be fixed. You just need to remember what you are beneath all the layers of conditioning and identity and fear. He wrote, "Stop acting so small. You are the universe in ecstatic motion." But you can't experience that vastness while you're busy being small. While you're busy protecting your little identity, defending your little opinions, maintaining your little version of how things should be. So what does this look like practically? How do you actually surrender when every cell in your body is screaming to hold on, to control, to make sure nothing goes wrong? You start small. You start with this moment, right now. Can you be here without needing to be anywhere else? Can you breathe without rushing to the next breath? Can you exist for 10 seconds without trying to become someone different? That's the practice, not some grand spiritual awakening. Just moments of presence, moments where you stop, where you let the noise settle, where you remember that beneath all the drama and urgency and importance, you're just here, breathing, alive, aware. And in those moments, something extraordinary happens. The thing you've been seeking your whole life reveals itself, not as something new you've found, but as something old you've remembered. Peace, wholeness, home. Rumi put it simply, everything in the universe is within you. Ask all from yourself. You've been asking everyone and everything else. The job to give you purpose, the relationship to give you completion, the achievement to give you worth, the future to give you peace. But none of them can give you what you already have. They can only reflect it back to you. And when you finally realize this, when you finally stop seeking outside yourself, the whole game changes. You stop living from lack. You stop operating from the belief that something is missing. And you start living from overflow, from fullness, from the recognition that you are already what you've been searching for. This doesn't mean life becomes perfect. It doesn't mean problems disappear. Rumi faced tremendous difficulties. He lost Shams, probably to murder. He experienced profound grief. He knew suffering, but he knew it from a different place. Not as a victim of circumstances, but as awareness itself, witnessing the full spectrum of human experience without being destroyed by any of it. That's the gift of surrender. Not that life becomes easy, but that you become unbreakable, because you finally realize what you actually are. Not the thoughts that come and go, not the emotions that rise and fall, not the body that ages and changes, but the awareness witnessing all of it. The consciousness that was there when you were 5 and is still there now and will be there until your last breath. That can't be broken, that can't fail, that can't be lost. So stop running from yourself. Stop trying to become someone worthy of love or peace or happiness. You already are, you always have been, you just forgot. And the whole spiritual journey, all the seeking and searching and striving, is really just the process of remembering what you knew before you learned to forget. Rumi's final words were reportedly, "When I die, do not weep for me. I have not gone. I have simply awakened." He understood that death was just the final surrender, the ultimate letting go, and that what he really was could never die because it was never born. It simply is. You don't have to wait until death to discover this. You can discover it right now, in this moment, by stopping, by surrendering, by letting go of everything you think you need to be, and simply being what you are. This is mind in exile. And the exile ends the moment you realize you were never exiled. You were always home. You just had your eyes closed. Open them. Stop running. Come home to yourself. That's where everything you've been chasing has been waiting all along. Thank you for being here. Now close this video and sit in silence for just 5 minutes. No phone, no distraction. Just you in the present moment. That's where Rumi is still teaching. That's where the truth is still waiting. Go find it, or rather, let it find you.